Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'd like to say one thing. It has been a year since I made fire alarm videos, and I had a very small collection. Now this is not a collection video, if you can tell by the title, but I did do this last year, so I felt like I needed to do it again since I've grown a little bit more. I've grown my collection actually a lot. I have over like 60 alarms. I counted and stopped at 60, but I have a lot of alarms, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you the full rundown of what I recommend, and this is the official GamewellGuy95 fire alarm buyer's guide. So here's everything I got here. Some alarms aren't included because they're either installed or I don't recommend them, and that right there, the reason why that's there is because I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you in a second. This thing. So I have a 7002T and it's currently installed right now, and I don't want to spoil the system, so I'm kind of blocking it. But that's filling in. Don't try to look for those though. A lot of variants of the 7002T or 7002, in that case 7002, are very hard to find. And that right there, I'm gonna go over that later on, but that's also not really recommended, that exact model, but I'll go over all that later. So we're gonna start off with system sensor. We have system sensor, Wheelock, Simplex, Gentex, and EST. And then of course I have other brands, but I only have like one of it. There's a lot of things I gotta explain later on, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with system sensor. Probably the only company that has the most common devices, that barely has any rare devices, unlike a lot of other companies that have rare devices. And the reason I say that is because almost every one of their products are always out there. And I say almost because there are a lot of rare variants that are out there right now. But let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we have the original Mass series. So there's not too much to say about the Mass series. I would recommend this one or this. I pretty much recommend all three of them because they are able to be 2-wire. That one, that's a breakaway tab version. You break the tabs, so you break the tabs and it creates a permanent tone. If it's not in the tone that you like it to be set to, you gotta ask for that, because I mean, unless you see tone clips on the back of these alarms, you gotta ask what tone it's set to, or if they can. I don't think they can send a video, so I'm not really 100% sure. Might have to take a wild guess with that one. But if you do want a multi-tone, I recommend these two. This one isn't too hard to find, but check the voltages. Unless you're working on batteries, then that's a different story. But if you have a panel, or if you're running straight 24 volts DC, check the voltages, because these do come in 12 volts. And then I think that does too, but I'm not really sure. But let's go ahead and move on. We have the Classic series. There's not too much to say about the Classic series. They got the speaker strobe variants, but I'll talk a lot about those later. And then they got the strobe variants. Pretty common. They're all 4-wire, so you gotta have jumpers if you want to run it as a 2-wire. And just a side note, I'm assuming that you want it 2-wire only because I would assume y'all don't have panels yet. So if you do have a panel, then get 4-wire. They're pretty good. You can do audible silence, all that shit. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, here's the strobe variants, and then here's the horn variant right here. Kind of beat up. This one's original from 2017, but they're pretty good alarms. They're not bad at all. They sound a little bit different on FWR. For anyone that got an FWR panel, like an MS2 or something, they sound tiny bit different, but they don't sound too bad. Also want to keep a quick note, that also sounds different on FWR, and it's a little bit more noticeable. These two don't. Actually, that one, I have yet to test that on FWR, but yeah. And then right here, this is the Spectral Alert series. These are probably my most recommended ones for your first fire alarm. Not only do they not go off immediately, they have a set delay to them, and that's for sync check, but they have more convenient options. I can show you if I can get my screwdriver. Maybe I can pull one of these out, kind of show you. There you go. So here's this is a mounting bracket, and it's easier to hook up. Now the low frequency sounder is a little bit more expensive, but it's not uncommon. It is still easy to find. And then we have the L series. It's just basically the same thing as that, but it's altered. It sounds a lot more I don't know, generated. That sounds more natural. That sounds generated because it sounds different from this one. It's kind of hard to explain. I gave a good explanation to my friends a few months ago. But yeah, there's all that. So what's my most recommended one in this entire series? This entire series right here, but I recommend those because they are pretty nice. Or these, or possibly even the Mass Series. But my most recommended one, easiest to find, easy to use, this one, the P2R. Alright, moving on, we'll go ahead and go to Wheelock. So, there's a lot here. There's not a lot to say about Wheelock. I do say that they do have a lot of rarer alarms. I have a lot of them inside right now. Specifically, the mechanical horn series that they have a lot of rare variants of those. But yeah, so let's get started. So first off, we're going to start off with the original series, and that's just their horn strobes or horns. So right here is the 7001. Now, here's the thing about this one. These are really hard to come across. I don't think I've seen one on eBay yet. The only thing I've seen was a 12-volt V7001. And, you know, I mean, I think someone did buy it, but it took a lot longer to be sold because it's 12 volts. I recommend, if you're going to find one of these, I recommend a 7001T. Not a 7001 or not a 7001 open grill. And if you go the extra mile and decide you want an open grill terminal version, that's going to be even harder to find. This, we're going to just say it's a 7002T or 7002, I guess. This is a Halon version. You can see it's a 7002. But the 7002T is a 2-wire terminal version of this thing right here. They're pretty good alarms. They're just very overpriced on eBay. They treat it like it's rare, but it really, really isn't. And then we have the 34T, which is also starting to go up in price. It's the same thing. It's terminals, but without the strobe. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can look up a 34T-24-WS. And those are the 4-wire 7002Ts. That's just what they call them because they're WS. Anything that has WS on it is a 2-wire white strobe. Because, I mean, they are white. And, yeah, that's what they're called. All right, moving on here. So we have the 80A series. I say 80A because everything here from here and out is 80A compliant. I don't know about that one. The strobe does flash really fast and it isn't syncable. But this is an MT. Now, I got a few things to say about it. So, number one, if you have a panel, it's not really good to code on. They kind of suck. They sound a lot more forced than when you actually have it as a self-coder. But if you're a beginner, these are beautiful. They have a lot of good options. They have march time for a lot of people that don't want to try to simulate march time. These have march time. That's nice. They also have they have other coding options. The main one that got me to buy it though was march time. So yeah, really good alarm, recommended. Right here, I have the Wheelock NS. I have 2 of these, and then I have its horn variant, the NH. And strobe variant, I guess strobe variant. I mean, it's pretty much every strobe variant of these alarms. It's this one, except for that one. This one has the ZRS, but I don't have one with me. But these are also pretty good. They do have an MCW version. That's the only one that doesn't have a delay on it, or that has a delay on it. But if it's a non-MCW, it's going to have a delay. But if it is an MCW, it's going to have a delay only on code 3. If you want to code it yourself, you have to put it on continuous. But it's pretty nice. They're pretty nice alarms, but they are very loud. They're louder than the advances, the P2Rs. Right here, I have the Wheelock Z and S, and this one is a pretty nice one too. It also comes with a mounting bracket, which is pretty nice, so you don't have to go in the back and wire and all that. It's more convenient if you're trying to hook it up to a back box and you're trying to do some type of doorbell fire alarm system, but yeah. And then, of course, I just have the ceiling mount version of the RSS. You guys have seen this before. It's just kind of a reference of that. And then I have the Exceeder series, which I don't have any horn strobes of, but it's basically the same thing. They sound like these, and they look like this. The only difference is, see these cutouts? That's where the horn is. Black spots right here. Black spots, well, whatever the hell these are. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Wheelock. So let's go ahead and move on to Simplex. Also, sorry if I'm in a rush. I'm very limited. I don't have a camera yet, so I'm still using my phone to film all these videos. But we're going to start off with Simplex, and I want to get some explaining out of the way before we get started. So first off, you might notice that I do have True Alerts. I didn't include that in here, and I'm going to show you why. Also, one of them's installed, so I'm going to show you that first. Alright, so right here's the True Alert, and these are, they're not modeled, they're not numbered well, so they're kind of hard to come across without getting, accidentally getting a True Alert that you can't run on a panel or on batteries. So you got to kind of watch out for that. So I'll go ahead and kind of show you what a True Alert should look like if you want to buy one for as your first alarm. So here it is, 4-wire. Now, here's the problem. I don't really recommend these. I don't really recommend Simplex as your first brand of choice, and the only reason why is because they're not self-coders, and none of them are 2-wire. The only thing you're gonna ever get that's 2-wire are the remote strobes, strobe plates, or the horns. But other than that, if you want a horn strobe, they're gonna be 4-wire. They have to be. And that's really it. And the reason why that's not so ideal is because a lot of people operate off batteries. And actually, I'll give you kind of another reference, and that's the speaker strobe series. And the reason why I didn't include that many speaker strobes is because I also don't recommend them. But anyways, as I was saying, so if you gotta jump wires, it's kind of inconvenient because you gotta cut wires and you gotta make jumper wires so you can make it 2-wire. And the only reason why I say having 2-wire is ideal is because you're going to be operating both the horn and the strobe on 24 volts DC, and it'd be easier if you just did it that way with just 2 wires instead of having to do 4 wires, having to do all that jumping shit. It's easier. And this is a free run horn. That's not a huge issue, but you have to self-code it. You have to code it by yourself or using a coding module or a panel or something. You're using a blinker relay. You can use one of those things to code it, but it won't code itself. It will always be on continuous. It's a free run horn. That's how it works. This also has a syncing option at the bottom or at the top. If you set it to smart sync, the strobe will not flash until you cut power, because that's how sync works. Same applies with the smart sync. Even the smart sync 2-wire horn strobes, the horn won't work at all though, but the strobe will work as long as you got a sync module or you just keep releasing power. And that applies to any smart sync true alerts, any of them, even the speaker strobes. But yeah. So moving on to the Simplex series, let's get started. So this is oldest to newest. So the most common alarm out of this entire series is that one down there, and that's the 4903. Now, even then, this is a really rare model. It's a 9202, but I got this on a deal, so that's why I bought it. Of course, it's 4-wire. These are pretty nice alarms. They do tend to sound raspy though, so if you don't like raspy horns, number one rule, if you do have an FWR panel, don't buy these. They're not good to sound on FWR. They sound bad on FWR. They sound worse than the other horns. And yeah. And then, yeah, it's a fixed candela strobe, so it's 15 candela. And yeah, I recommend these though out of the entire Simplex series. Or you can get the electric horn. I don't know if there's any conventional 4-wire horn strobe versions that sound like the True Alert, but there are ones that are close to it, and that's the electronic one. And you'll find a lot of those on the internet. It's easier to find than the True Alert series. And number one rule, if you ever find a ceiling mount version of this, and I'll give you an example, if you ever find one with the fire lettering on the sides of ceiling mount, do not buy those. They're all going to be 2-wire. Number one thing is to always check if they're 2-wire or not, because there's no such thing as a Smart Sync True Alert that is 4-wire, unless you have the selectable, but even then the horn is not going to be Smart Sync. So always make sure they're 4-wire. If it's a horn strobe and it's 2-wire, don't buy it, because you can't run the horn. You can only run the strobe. Or in some cases, in most common cases, you'll find those ceiling mount variants, the ones that look like these but with the fire lettering on the side. You'll find those in addressable form, and you cannot use them at all unless you have TrueNAC or IDNAC. I think you can run IDNAC on TrueNAC, but that's a whole different video. So yeah. Right here we have the 2903 series and the 9806, which it's just a vibratone, but I don't have another vibratone for reference, so for another company, so I'm just gonna say that this is a 9806. These are actually going on eBay right now as we speak. Light plates, they're hard to find, but if you find them, they are cheap sometimes on very rare occasions. As for the strobe variants, which is the 9101s, they're fucking expensive. Don't buy them, and they're very hard to find. And if you do find them, they're gonna be brand new, or they're just gonna be batshit crazy. So yeah. Right here, more of the more recommended alarms. This is the 9838 with the 9501. 9838s are super fucking common. It's the common version of the 9833, the common and cheaper version. And then it's just the 9501, also very common. Not much to say about that, only it's 80A. And then right here, this is supposed to be a 4051, but I don't have one, so I'm using a 4050 as reference. Number one thing with AC horns, check your voltages. The reason why I say that is because if you don't have 120 volts AC, you can't plug it in to the wall. You have to get a transformer. So check your voltages. Make sure you can find a step-down transformer or a transformer plug like I did. And yeah. and you can only plug them in. I'm not sure if you can link them to or not link them, but wire it to a pull station or have it work that way as a switch. I'm pretty sure you can, but I'm not going to test that out, and I don't recommend you test that out until a confirmed technician tells you can do that. I haven't tried it yet, so when I try it, I'll confirm it. But the 9101, pretty common. I mean, they're not too bad. They're priced on eBay for $30. And then we have the 4030, but I already said my thing about AC horns. Same thing, 120 volts AC. The most common voltage of the 4030 is 120 volts. And don't look for the Simplex variant or Simplex rebrand, because you're not going to find them. They're kind of hard to find. Go for the IBM or Benjamin, because they're the same thing but different brands. They were made by Benjamin though. And then of course we just have a 9005. There's a current member of the fire alarm community selling a bunch of these, so if you find them on eBay, go get them. And yeah, that's all I got to say for Simplex, so let's go ahead and move on. I want to give a quick disclaimer. If the video does cut off mid while I'm talking, I think I'm just going to have it end to this part. So if it does cut off, just in case, thank you guys for watching, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But since it didn't fucking cut off and I'm not editing this shit, let's get started. So this is Gentex. Not too much to say about them. They do have one of my most recommended fire alarms, and that is the Commander 3 series, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But let's get started with the original series. So this is the the GMS. Now, these are recommended. They do tend to sound raspy, but they're by default they're 2-wire. But if it looks like this, they're 4-wire, because that's a jumper that's connecting them, making them 2-wire. Now this one, I also recommend this one highly. They're not too hard to find. I don't think there are any on eBay, but if you do find one, get one. Get one for a good price though, $50 or lower. Because these can be 2-wire, 4-wire convertible, so if you do get a panel, you can make this 4-wire and have it do audible silence. And it's a multi-tone, and it's also also has multiple volumes too, which is really nice. These are really nice alarms. They can't do march time. That's the only disclaimer, and I know a lot of people like doing march time. This right here is Commander 1. If you don't like the sound of smoke detectors, the smoke alarms, don't get this, because it has a piezo inside instead of like a piezo that puts in different frequencies and makes it sound like an actual fire alarm horn. But same thing here, jumpers, they work that way. You can make them 2 or 4-wire, very convenient to use, and they are convenient to hook up too, because they got a little mounting bracket. It's just you have to wire it from the back. Now let's get to the newer Commander series, Commander 2, Commander 3. Now I'm gonna speak really fast because I still got one more brand to talk about. These are recommended. I highly recommend these actually. The reason why is because not only are they easy to set up, you can take this off. You can take off this front plate right here. I'll give you kind of an example. You can take this front plate off and configure the dip switches right here. Don't get the models with the ones in the back. I know they're rare. If you want it for rare points, go ahead and go get it. But other than that, get this one. They got the dip switches in the front. You can just customize it as it's wired up. You just got to wire it up and open this, and then you got to close it back up. And by default, it's set to 2-wire, but if it's not, flip the dip switch 6 up. And then you can set a bunch of tones. It's really easy to use. They're really cool, and you can use a sync module with them too. This is just the Agent variant, but this is the only red variant I have, so it's the same thing. And then the Commander 4, which is basically the same thing. Only difference, it's ceiling and it doesn't have chime. So that's pretty much it. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the EST series. So I don't have a lot to say here, so this is going to be really quick. If you want to speak to anyone about this, I don't know if he's still in the server, but the guy that gave me that for a True Alert, Nerf Boy Neo, he knows a lot about these, so I'd recommend talking to him about it. But I'm going to give my 2 cents for what I have left for these two. For this company, I did have a panel. I just don't have that many alarms from them because they're mostly 2-wire alarms that have delay on it. So yeah. So anyways, right here is the Pre-Integrity series, and I don't recommend you try to look for these. And the reason why, actually, I don't really recommend these at all. Reason why is because if you make it 2-wire, the strobe takes time to charge up. So if you make it 2-wire, you have to keep it on continuous if you want to see both the horn and the strobe working. Because if not, you're just going to keep getting an issue where the strobe just doesn't flash at all. And it's not broken, it just needs time to charge, and it takes a lot of time. So it's not really recommended. Now, I don't know about this one. I've yet to try it, but I'm just going to assume the same thing. It's the first gen Integrity. Now, if you do have newer gen. If you find a newer gen integrity that doesn't look like this, get it. They are pretty cool. They have a 1 second delay, and then they also have another option where you can make it continuous, kind of like the MCW series, and you can code it yourself. And then last but not least, the Genesis series. These I recommend. They're 2-wire, they're small, they're easy to wire up. They're not the best alarm, but they are definitely easy to use. And you can also convert it to a 4-wire. They actually have an adapter, Edwards. You'd have to look it up though. And it basically, that thing sounds like a piezo, but skipping every few seconds like it's on. Like something like that on FWR, or, you know, for example, you saw on that one short when I had it wired on with dead batteries and it kept beeping like that for no reason when the system wasn't on. That's what it sounds like. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. So yeah. So what alarm do I recommend the most out of all of these? I'll give you my 2 cents from each company. That one I recommend the P2R. Over here, I recommend I'd say I recommend the ZNS or the NS. I can't really choose between the two. Actually, no, I recommend the MT. These are easy. So yeah, I recommend the MT or NS or ZNS, or just MT and NS, because that's 2-wire. That's 4-wire, but it's easy to make 2-wire. Over here, I recommend the 4903 series. Check for model numbers though. Check the back. If there's no pictures of the back on eBay, ask for a picture of the back, because there is a chance they don't look different from the speaker strobe variant, so you have to look at the back, and you should know how to recognize the speaker. I can't really show you. I guess I can, kind of. It's just not, it's this one right here, but you have to look at the actual back, and you'll see kind of how it looks. If you see something like this on the back, don't get it, because you can't run speakers. Unless you, of course, have an amplifier, then go for it. But yeah, just watch out for those model numbers, and make sure you don't get the 2-wire ceiling mount versions, but I recommend that. Or, of course, I recommend the 9838 with the 9101, because those are easy to find, or the 9838 with the 9501. And then right here, the Commander 3. No questions asked. Best series to get. Specifically the wall version, because that doesn't have chime, so these are more kind of more pleasant for people with their parents. Oh, I forgot to mention one over here. Another one I recommend is a CH70. It's basically that thing, but it's a chime and it's 4-wire. Also another thing, it's a speaker, but it has a tone generator in it. So you can make it a speaker strobe if you want to. I think you just have to unplug the tone generator, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't credit me on that one, or don't take my word for it. But it's the same thing as that, but it's a chime strobe. Definitely recommend from that series too, if you want a quieter alarm that's not batshit loud, annoying your parents. And then right here, the Genesis series, because it's easy to wire. You can make it 4-wire, and it has, not only does it have a delay to make it kind of sound like you have a panel, it also has a coding option. Only problem is you can't make it continuous unless you break something, so not fully recommended. So, oh my gosh, said that all in one breath. Out of all of these, what do I recommend? Well, I hate to sound like what's his name, SCR Safety or Grant, but I do recommend that alarm. I gotta say, these are probably the best alarms to start with, and that's because you can make them 2 to 4-wire. There's a lot of tones on them. It even, I don't know if it has the, no, it doesn't have the diagram, you have to look it up, but it's easy. It also has a volume option. It's the most recommended fire alarm ever for me. And if you want a recommended, I guess, mechanical horn strobe, it could be something like the 7002T or that thing, or of course the Faraday series, but that's a whole different video, or just a whole different topic. I'll update it again next year when I start getting different brands. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. New system test video this Sunday. I have an upload schedule. I have a bunch of pre-recorded videos, so I'm actually starting to schedule out my videos. But thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, let me know in the comments if you want a collection video. It's going to be a while until I can get all that together, but I will do it if you want it. All right, goodbye.